Hey guys, it's Morgan. Welcome back to the Weekly Shlog, episode number 201. Stay with us. We will be announcing the free revalve winner by the end of this Shlog. It'll probably be towards the end of the Shlog because I filmed this thing over a whole week and we're getting all the entries right now. We'll make a decision before the end of the day, Friday. We'll let you guys know. We are back at it here in Western Colorado working on dirt bikes, and I have something to show you guys. Mr. Sheets found some interesting stuff in his newly acquired suspension roll. He's been doing suspension services a long time. Been working on this old 500, owned by a customer of ours who has lots of 500s, and they're all kind of in the same shape. Brought it in for fork and shock service, spruce up, whatever. Zach pulled the fork off, and when he took the fork guard off, the bottom of the leg slid way down. And he's like, oh man, the cap must have come loose or something like that. So then he put it in his vise, chalked it up, and this is exactly as he found it. There's no base valve. So hopefully we can dig some parts up around here on some extra stuff and get that fixed, but that's quite a thing. All right, let's get after it. Alright guys, first on the lift, well, you guys saw this last week. This is the one we lowered about an inch. But the last thing I got to do on it before I call the customer is I got to fix his kickstand right here. This is the kickstand that came on the street legal rigs because it's a little deal so that it's an automatic spring up. So it goes up like that. And the only difference is there's a little collar and bushing right here. So I'm going to show you guys how that works. So if you guys have a street legal Husqvarna KTM with that style kickstand, you can make it a normal style kickstand. This is for people who can't figure out how to put up kickstands when they take off. So anyway, yeah, I'll just show you. It's super easy. All right, so it's 45 Torx. Then guys, you got to get another bolt. Just so it's shorter, because this shoulder on this one's too long and it'll bottom out before you get it. So we got this one. We're gonna put some Loctite on it. All right, just like that. It's a normal kickstand. Stays down when you want it down, goes up when you want it up. There we go. Now I think if you buy one of these things brand new, it comes with both bolts, and then you can either install that bushing or not install that bushing. But yeah, there we go. That's fixed. Next up is going to be a TTR 225 Carburetor Clean. So if that sounds good, stick with us. All right, guys. I wish you guys could smell what I'm smelling right now. This is disgusting, but you can see what I'm seeing. Let's see. Hold on. There we go. See that green? That's not supposed to be there. That's pooled up, disgusting. So gross. And it smells absolutely terrible here, but we'll get it all dialed in. I went ahead and after I took the inlet hose off and saw that green, and then the petcock broke as I tried to turn it on, I went ahead and ordered some parts. So we won't be getting this done on this Shlog, I don't think. Some of that has to come OEM. Oh look, it's green. St. Patrick's Day. Anyway, that has to come OEM, so I don't think we're going to see it this week, but make sure you stay tuned and I'll show you how we clean this. I am going to go ahead and run it through the ultrasonic right now so we get a preemptive clean on it, but yeah, by next week's Shlog we'll dive in and show you how we actually rebuild these things. I got all new parts for it. All right, you know what guys, let's go ahead and take this thing apart so I can show you what it looks like inside before, and then that will maybe get you guys fired up to come back next week ahead and see how we actually make it look good and run good. But yeah, we're going to take it apart, put it through the ultrasonic, so you guys can check that out this week. So yeah, we got to start by, we'll take all these hoses off. These are all just vents or drains. So now let's take the lid off first. Also, I'll give you guys a little lesson here. What this is called a CV carburetor, or constant velocity carburetor. This is an altitude compensating carburetor to a point. And the way that works is over here, and you see we've got a butterfly, and this is what you control with your wrist. So when you twist the throttle, that opens. But if you look in there, even when that's open, here we go. So it's open. See, there's a slide still in the way. That is the vacuum operated slide. There's a diaphragm up here. I'm going to show you that in just a second. But what happens is as you twist this, and you're making that decision with your wrist, there now more air comes through, and it blows through this orifice here, and it changes the pressure up in here, and it lowers the pressure up here, and there's a higher pressure here, and that then raises this slide. It's a little stuck because it's gross, but the pressure difference between here and here will raise this slide, therefore opening up the main jet, because this slide has the needle that goes down into the emulsion tube where the main jet is. So while you choose how much air you want to let in here, air pressure actually chooses what changes, actually opens up that main jet and how far it opens it. So it's somewhat altitude compensating. It's an old school method, obviously. Doesn't really work all that terribly well. It works fine for like street applications and non-high performance applications. It doesn't work good for high performance because it doesn't really compensate that well, and it's a pretty bad design for performance carburetor because it just can't flow enough air and fuel like you would want. There's the diaphragm, spring holds it down. When the air blows in here, it comes into this cavity here and goes up above the slide up in here, lowers that pressure, helps push this up because there's more pressure here, and it raises that up and lets it out. And so the thicker the air, the faster that's going to move out of the way. The thinner the air, the slower it's going to move out of the way. Anyway, that actually looks good. When you're taking these apart, guys, you really want to inspect these diaphragms really closely, because if they get a hole in them, it doesn't work at all. That one looks great. The float bowl, I have a feeling this is going to be disgusting. Yeah, there we go. That's awesome. So when you're cleaning these things, guys, if you have an ultrasonic, you really want to get all the jets and everything out so that the water can move through and clean everything. Here's where you're going to want your center punch to get this out, because if you try to tap on this, you will inevitably break these towers. And that does not want to move because the needle is stuck in there. Try to loosen it up with a little bit of brake clean. No dice. That's alright. We got a new one of these coming, so I'm just going to take that whole thing out if I can. I got a new needle and seat, so I don't need to worry about that getting clean. Go. Now this guy, you got to be really careful because these like to break. I think this one looks like it's already been replaced. You can actually buy this part aftermarket. For a long time you couldn't, but now they're offered, which is good because they break super easy. So you want to just kind of ease these screws off all at the same tension, kind of. You don't have to go crazy with it, but everything looks good. I think this has all been replaced because this looks a lot nicer than I would have thought, considering that carburetor. And we'll save all this because this does not come in the rebuild kit. All this stuff does. Not this. This goes there. That doesn't come. So, all right. Now we got all these parts. Go put them in the ultrasonic, and then I'll come back and show you what they look like when they're done. All right, guys, check that out. Nice and clean. Everything looking good. I went ahead and already put the top back on. Everything's moving nice and smooth like it's supposed to. And that's the thing also, when you're checking these things, you want to be able to push up on this and you want to feel a decent amount of, like, you want to feel a little bit of resistance and kind of feel the pressure from the diaphragm. I don't know how to put it, but like, well, you can hear it. So that sound is the diaphragm. So that seems good. Now, I'm just waiting on, excuse me, the gasket kit, and also needle and seat. You can see this seat is just disgusting. We're going to pitch that. The needle is stuck in it, so we're just going to get rid of that. I cleaned the jets out. They're good. The float now is all good. Everything's happy. So once we get rubber parts, we'll put this thing back together, put it on the TTR 225 and get ready to go. Next job, guys, is the carburetor on this WR450F. This is an 03, 04, something like that. Anyway, it's got the key and FCR. So if you guys haven't seen me rebuild one of those, stay tuned because it's going to be good. They're super complicated, but they are good carburetors once you get them working good. All right, guys. Got the carburetor off of this WR, and that's all well and good. We have a carb kit for it and all that, but here's the problem. One of the problems. So it's that boot. Yeah, there we go. That boot is torn. So sadly, not going to be able to fix it today. He was hoping to have this thing by the weekend. I seriously doubt anyone's going to have that part in stock. We're checking just in case. It's a simple thing to replace, but you know, can't run it like that. Quick tech tip, guys, for dealing with carburetors on 4-strokes or throttle bodies on 4-strokes. Well, I'm probably throttle bodies on 2-strokes anyway, but taking the exhaust off, I took the pipe off and loosened, or took the bolts out of the bottom of the subframe and then loosened this one and like raise the thing up. Helps a bunch because you pull that off the carb, that gives you the room to move it out. These steel framed Yamahas are a lot easier than the aluminum frame, but if you, with the aluminum frame, a lot of times you have to either take the subframe all the way off or flip it all the way up and out of the way, but and then get the shock out of the way. But definitely a key to making your life a lot easier is loosen that thing up and pop it up at least a little bit. So yeah, that's unfortunate. We'll see if we can find one. If not, you know, subscribe to the channel because we'll be putting that back together hopefully next week. But now we're going to dive into this carburetor and take a look and see what's in there. All right, guys, got this carburetor completely disassembled. Got the mid-body split. We're going to put a new one of those in there. I got everything off. Everything was that? Oh, got literally everything in here. Accelerator pumps apart, everything. So we took this off. I've actually never had a problem with these in the water, but I figured we're taking everything off. We'll just go ahead and take that off too. That's a throttle position sensor, in case you don't know. I'm gonna take all this over to the ultrasonic, dump it in, and we'll get it all cleaned up and check in when we get it nice and shiny. All right, guys, got the carb out of the ultrasonic. Now let's take a look at everything. So you can see the ultrasonic does a great job. It loosens things up, but sometimes it leaves a little junk on there. So we're still gonna have to like physically manually clean that, but that's just fine. It'll come off a lot better than it did before. All right, guys. So we're not gonna be able to put this all the way back together today, partially because this O-ring thing, it's like, here we go. It's this little seal that goes on here is junk. I don't have one. I thought I did, but I don't. So sadly, we won't be able to put the slide all back together because that goes
like that, and that piece helps to seal this to here so air doesn't anyway. So unfortunately, not going to be able to do that, but we can get the rest of it back together. We'll start with the mid body here. Open up our kit, and these are pretty nice actually from All Balls. They come with the Torx tool and everything to do it, which is actually quite handy if you don't have all the stuff at your house. And it comes with all new bolts and everything, which is, like I said, pretty nice. We'll start here, put our gasket, there we go. Then we're gonna and like I said, it comes with new bolts. Alright, so we got that bolted on, got those tightened down. Obviously, don't go crazy on these, they're tiny. Strip them out, but we're good to go. Now, we got our big gasket, O-ring, whatever you want to call it. Get it all lined up. Comes with new little rectangle guys. Gotta get those on there. Got new bolts for here too.
Alright guys, so we got that all, the carburetor all built up as much as we can right now. We're waiting on that seal for the slide, some other stuff. Anyway, so that's on the back burner. But now we have this 300 KTM, who the gentleman who owns it decided to put the key in 36 millimeter back on it. Highly recommend that. He called me for some jetting specs. He's got an RK Tech head on it, so he asked me what I run, so I actually sold him some jets. So here you go. He went to put it all together, fired it up. It started, it idled for a little bit. He was getting ready to adjust the air screw, and then it died, and it has not started since. So we have a mystery. I took the air filter out, sprayed some brake cleaner, hit the button, it did not start it. So now our next move is to pull the spark plug out and see if it's actually sparking. He did replace the spark plug already, he said, but I don't know if it's even sparking. So let's dig in, let's pull that thing out, we'll put it up against the head and see if it sparks. Alright guys, so I pulled the plug out. It's probably impossible for you guys to see on camera, but it's super wet. Makes me wonder if maybe that carburetor is leaking a little bit into the cases and it's just super loaded up. So I'm gonna try to start turning it over a little bit with the plug out, see if it'll dry it out. Then we'll plug it in and see if it's sparking. Let's see. That's super inconsistent and weird. Huh. Yeah, that's weird. I think this thing was running just fine right before he changed the carburetor out. So I don't know. That's the weird one. You guys saw how it would spark and then go off and then spark. Let's try it again. Make sure it's not an issue with the head. All right, we're digging deep. All right, guys, got a new plug. Interesting. So I'm looking at it through the camera's screen. And it's funny, it doesn't show it sparking all the time on the camera, but like looking at it, it definitely is sparking all the time. But it's kind of a dull spark, so yeah, I don't know. I'm going to plug this thing in, tighten it down, and see if anything changes. Alright guys, so I put that spark plug back in. Spoiler alert, it does start. But what I found, it was loaded up. And I think what had happened is when they switched carburetors or whatever, I don't know, they dumped a bunch of gas in that thing, and it filled the crankcase, and so it wouldn't start because they didn't hold it wide open or pull the plug out anyway. And the reason that plug, the other one was kind of inconsistent, and even the new one, I think it just had some junk. The plug that we pulled out was super wet, and that was causing some issues. And then I think also just the camera doesn't pick up the lower colored spark, but it seems to be good. Starts and idles is fine, so happy with that. I'm gonna put the air filter back in it because I took it out just to spray some brake cleaner, so that would help it. Go ride it around, make sure it doesn't get worse. Sometimes when you have a spark problem, it can exhibit itself after the light gets warm, so I want to make sure that's not happening. All right, guys, that's the end of the Shlog. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's episode. And now, for the announcement of the person who won the free TBT revalve from us, is Mr. Shane Brisendine, or Brisendine. I'm sorry, Shane, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. But thank you for all the laughs and the pictures, and that was brilliant. Yeah, I'm stoked. It was good, guys. We had a ton of really wonderful entries. Lots of ones pulling on my heartstrings and making me laugh, and it was really hard to choose. Shane's just honestly made me laugh the most, and it was seriously awesome. But for everybody who entered, I'm going to be reaching out to you with a special deal because you guys took the time to reach out and write to me. I really, really appreciate that. So make sure you check your inboxes on your email. I'll be getting back to you here relatively soon with an offer to maybe help you out with some TBT suspension. And yeah, Zach and I are taking off a day early this week. We're going to go ride 5 miles of hell. Look at him. He's so excited. I'm making him skip work. Drives him nuts. His anger likes to be at work and only at work. But we're going to go ride 5 miles of hell, so make sure you stay tuned for that video. It's going to be a ton of fun. I hope you guys get out and spread the gospel 2 wheels. And as always, I hope that what we're doing here at Highland Cycles is inspiring you guys to work on and get out and ride your dirt bikes! Son of a bitch.